Good day, family. Good day. It's so good to see you. So good to see y'all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Another day to learn. When you know better, you do better. I was just thinking about everything. Man, I was just listening to Farrakhan, and all of this been orchestrated against us. Yeah, all of this been orchestrated against us. Been going on for decades. Once I seen Jane Pittman, as soon as we left them plantation fields, it was on. The chase was on. But all these agendas and these events, man, they've been putting all this stuff on us, just hunting us down. I was just listening to Farrakhan, y'all, and yeah, we really need to become self-sustaining and be our first line of defense. It's all about, genocide, exterminating us, genociding us. So we got to become self-sustaining. We don't have any other choice. No, we don't have any other choice. Yeah, always stay grateful. Put your gratitude hat on. Put your gratitude hat on. Always stay grateful. Know who you're loyal to now. Know who we loyal to now. Let everybody know ain't no need in pretending no more and acting like it ain't this, it ain't that serious. There ain't no way that's happening. Oh, yes, it is. Any day now. You finna see. We all finna see. Something we ain't never seen before. All of this is unprecedented. Yeah, let's get the fundamentals out the way and stuff, cause honey, I still feel like defund the police was a big setup. Was a big ass setup. We ain't had the first substitute plan, self-defense model, or nothing in place for that. Now robots coming. Yeah, robots coming. That's who finna be out there in the communities now. Right alongside them like that for a while. The police, the robots gonna be right alongside the police for a while. And then, the police will slowly let them have it. And they're gonna be patrolling the communities. And the police just gonna be harassing and taunting and torturing. Who knows what, what them folks may do and stuff. But just get ready. Prepare yourself. You and your family. Make your amends. We all got to make our amends with the family and stuff. Ain't no need in, that shit happened 15 years ago. Hell, both of you were drunk. Let the shit go. We got pressing things now. You're going to have to get along in that same house when it come down to it. When it come down to it, this is fucked up. How they literally have been just dogging and stalking Black America. What's the video I was watching with Farrakhan? It's like 30 minutes long, I think. We ain't gonna watch it now and stuff because I haven't finished it. I was just listening to it and stuff, but I believe in Farrakhan. I believe Farrakhan. What he's saying. And that's on Evans Rayola. That's one of our brothers in Africa. They telling our stories too. Since we ain't doing it. Most of us like we should. So they are telling our stories too. And the title of it is Louis Farrakhan Exposes American Government. They want to get rid of Black youth. That's the profile on that video right there. And it's 39 minutes long. I'm going to finish watching it. But yeah, all of this stuff is true. I'm sure ain't lying. About what I'm reading and learning and stuff. I ain't lying about none of this. Nope, I'm not lying about anything that I'm saying. I don't feel bad about it, about what I'm saying, because it's true. We need to know these things. I'm not, feeling guilty about it. I don't want you to feel guilty about it because it's true. We can't just keep ignoring the truth. It's unfortunate. that all, this big manipulation and stuff, don't you feel betrayed? I'm just saying, but let's get some shout outs so we can read and stuff. Because, I don't know. I didn't go to sleep at all, but I didn't get sleepy. Good day, Grandizer. How you doing? It's so good to see you. How you be and what it is? I'm all right. I can't complain. I can't complain unless it's about the people, my people. Other than that, I can't complain about that. Yeah, just learning. You know better, you do better. Trying to learn and, elevate myself, become self-sustaining. Me, my family, my people, all of us. That's what we doing. We all doing the same thing. Yeah, we all doing the same thing. It's good to see you again. Yes. It is. I thank y'all for your patience and your presence. I know, because sometimes be like, damn, just going to read face. But, I do want you to know so you won't waste your time here and stuff. Because I don't want nobody to be like, damn, I done wasted 2 hours with her ass and stuff. I do a lot of repetition and stuff, y'all. I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. I'm not forgiving. I don't forgive nothing that my ancestors done went through. We look through a spiritual lens of loyalty, resilience, and education. We need them, especially now. We need to start looking through them lenses and stuff. Oh, did you see Ryan Hinton's dad doing all that apologizing and praying for the man that killed his grandson? What I've been saying, all this forgiving and stuff, I don't forgive nothing. Y'all forgiving enough for me. I'm not forgiving a damn thing that's done happened to my people. I sure ain't. But anyway, we looking through them spiritual lenses. Yeah. Loyalty, resilience, and education. We need to know who we loyal to. I was like, damn, is he going to even say anything about his grandson? The officer was trying to get home that night. Your grandson was trying to get home. Yeah, just religion got y'all so just, you fucked up. Your mind fucked up. Black America. I just hope some of you, those that need to, it ain't going to have to take all of us. Because we're going to have to steer the rest of us. The mass is going to have to be stirred. That's just it. STEERED. Stirred. We're going to have to stir them and stuff because they just stampeding through here. Don't know a damn thing. Ain't thinking for themselves. Meanwhile, white folks still underground doing what they doing, ready to bring it up again. Oh, yeah, honey. The way Rumpus got them, they all ready to come on out and let it know. Let it know. Let you know. Yeah, all of this right here just been to blindside your ass, to keep you distracted. Now we coming out the bag on you. You haven't looked at, man, we been homies since we was in junior high, man. No, that was just here because we had to, keep y'all distracted. We had to do what we had to do for us. I don't know how it's going to reveal itself. I do not know. But keep an eye on your family, your brothers, your teenagers and stuff. When they out there and stuff, let them know. They feel that instinct, get the fuck out, get gone, get down, let's go, move around. Try not to be by themselves. There's too much happening. All across the borders, it's just too much happening. We need to focus on us. Try to keep us safe. We need to. From everybody, everything. We ain't got no friends. We don't have no friends. When they get that instinct about skin folk, same thing with their asses. Too much pettiness out here. Everybody jealous of each other and stuff. And you want this block and you want that block and stuff. Somebody got on some shoes, the new shoes that just came out. All this petty shit. We got to set boundaries, y'all. I mean, like now. Tonight. In the morning. When everybody wake up and stuff, you need to be on it. No, we ain't waking up to no motherfucking WAP. Now, we can wake up to Earth, Wind, and Fire. Let's groove tonight. September. We can wake up to something that's going to put everybody in a good mood, a productive mood. Instead of starting y'all day with all that bullshit ready to go out there and just jump in. Just jump in bullshit all day long. We got to stop that. We got to stop it. Those of us that can, set them boundaries. I'm just saying. Copyright disclaimer under 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair uses or use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. I wonder is my notes right here. You know, the doctrines and church, the religious statements and church doctrines that they done brainwash y'all ass with, you believe in. I used to. I didn't question, you know, after I was done with church, I didn't really question it no more. Okay, I'm going to heaven. And that was it. But all of this right here, we know good. We under a curse. We are sinners. Our hearts are wicked. What is, I didn't write the fifth one down. What was it? Something about forgiving? Because brother just, soon as he started talking, it's like he just started forgiving white folks. The officer that killed his grandson just said he made a mistake. He said he made a mistake and my grandson made a mistake. And I pray for him. I pray for his family. And I know he was just trying to get home. Just like, what's that, Ahmaud Arbery's brother? He was sitting in court. He forgave. I think he gave somebody a hug. Y'all gonna have to stop. Gonna have to start critically thinking. Yeah, we're gonna have to start critically thinking about these things. And white folks, okay, some of them didn't know. I guess some of them didn't know. Sabrina didn't know. But Karen and Ken and Brad, all of their asses knew. I can't tell them apart here. You're gonna have to do that. They in your life and stuff. I'm like Muhammad Ali. I don't even want the 1,000 around me amongst me. Go on and stay with the 10,000. All of y'all of one kind. I don't want them around me. And I don't really want them around y'all. I want you to find where you can be safe. Skin folks and white folks. Everybody. There's a whole lot of people in America now. Ooh, I think I'm about to go into another culture shock. Because there's so many people here now. And we really probably deporting the wrong ones. I mean, yeah, I'm just saying. Not only them need to get up out of here. The way I'm looking at things and stuff, y'all, yeah, this is happening pretty fast. It's happening pretty fast. Oh, before we start reading, China already got their police, robot police. Y'all, I forgot. China already got their humanoid robot police. Yeah, a little bit of short thing. I forgot to see how much it weighed, but it was like 38 kilometers or some shit like that. And it ain't very tall, like 4 feet tall, I guess. Maybe 5 feet. But yeah, it's in the neighborhood, and it's lightweight. It's got on the vest like the officers got on and stuff, y'all. The motherfucker can turn around, y'all. It's got cameras on it. It can turn around, its voice command and stuff. It can interact with the people and stuff like that. And while it's turning around, it's getting all y'all motherfucking faces. But that's what it's pretty much going to be like here. It started. It has begun. It's well on its way. Before we even knew what was happening. Yep. Them 5G towers got something to do with all of this. Everything going to connect together. That big old ripple. Yeah, we better start getting clothing that's got what's that y'all keep be talking about it that protect you and stuff. Yeah, don't keep your phone in your bosom and in your pocket and stuff like that. Just try to elevate, you know, and do things that's gonna give you another day. We need another day to fight this and stuff. Call on our ancestors, y'all, because now Simeon Toko, he stopped the helicopter in midair. I done mentioned it before. I think I forgot to fill you in on the story. Simeon Toko, that's your Black Jesus. He was in the Congo, and the government there it might be different versions on YouTube. The one I seen and stuff. His government there tried to kill him several times and stuff. Well, this time right here, they had him in a helicopter. I don't know if they were finna dismember him and drop his body in certain parts from high up. But he told him to stop. He stopped the whole helicopter. Hold up. Turn this motherfucker around. Turn it around now. And they had to turn it around. Yeah. It's a fascinating story, y'all. You need some hope and stuff in us. I mean, that all them fables and stuff of the Bible and stuff been your hope this whole time. You need a new vision, Black America. You need a new vision. And that's one right there. Yeah. So, when we do detox and stuff, y'all, when you detox your mind, your body, get your spirit right, and you get on code, and you are harmonizing with the earth, natural frequency, Mother Earth, and the cosmos, you getting your download. Boom, boom, boom. It's going to be like you will be able to hold up, stop all of the futuristic bullshit. Yeah, you will be able to. It's like a shield. It's like a protection that you have because you are you from the cosmos. You manifested from the cosmos, most powerful energy in this whole universe. Yep, it is. In the whole multiverse. That's what it is. That's what you are. You are cosmic energy manifested. That we got to get right. I do too. We got to get our bodies right. We got to get our minds right. We got to be able to, elevate and be that light. Let that energy energize in us. And when we go outside and stuff, the sun is what's going to hum it up. But we got to get there and stuff. But it's just a vision and stuff. Use your imagination and stuff. Let me know what you see. Because we're going into some, some uncharted waters and stuff. All of this that's been planned and stuff. And I got a notebook with all these robots in it, but these robots right here, one of them is in China, is PM01. It did the very first front flip. Went viral because it did a front flip. And it's another one got their robot. It look like a dog. It's climbing up walls, y'all. The robot dog climbing up wall and recording everything while it's climbing. From every angle, it's recording. That's what the future's supposed to be like, is heading towards. Yeah, one world currency. How the hell that's gonna work? I don't know. We don't need to be a part of this. No, and everybody seem like they okay with it. Everybody must know it's on us. Yeah, and they okay with it. I guess they okay with it. I'm not. I hope you're not, because this ain't what life's supposed to be about. Ain't none of it been what life's supposed to be about. Somebody needs to just go on and speak the truth. Tell them hell. But anyway, we reading. Yep, and tonight we are still reading property. Yeah, we still reading property. And this right here is like another version of the other book, They Were Her Property, where, white women owned slaves and stuff. White women had most of the slaves. White women got almost 100% of the profit from slavery. Yeah, white women had them a law. They had them a law that they slaves was theirs. She ain't got to do nothing with her slaves. If anything happened, her husband, the master, was a bomb, and the creditors was coming, but they could take everything, but they can't take her slaves. They cannot take her slaves. The daddies, once that law was in effect, the daddies had that drawn up once the little girl was born. Yeah, we know we're going to give Sarah. We're going to give her these slaves right here when she turned 3 days old. So they would automatically have that law drawn up for them and stuff. Where is They Were Her Property? But we've read that book. And it's really, eye-opening. Especially in today's time. White women, for them claiming that they don't know their history of this right here, well, now they do. And, they seem to want to be pretty smart and stuff and want to do the right thing. So I think they need to start addressing this right here about themselves. And if it ain't them and stuff, then they need to tell us, hey, that wasn't us, face y'all. That was them Cabbage Patch Kids. Remember they came after them Cabbage Patch Kids that had the birth certificates to them, y'all? It's like, I always wonder why these little dogs got the birth certificate. We didn't ever get now because there were 3 of us. And my mom was like, I ain't buying them damn dogs. So we never did get a Cabbage Patch Kid and stuff. But yeah, it's something to it. It's something to all of this and stuff. Something ain't right. Something is not right. But we're going to read tonight. Let's finish this right here because I don't really even like her ass. Her name is Manning, and Sarah is her slave. And she took Sarah with her because her mother was sick with cholera and stuff. But she can't have kids. Sarah got 2 kids by her husband, the master. So she hate him and hope he die. He raping Sarah and the other slave women and stuff. Sarah hope both of their ass die. So she done went to her mama's. Her mama done passed away. She done got sexually attracted to Sarah. In the book, they were her property. At the end of it, it came off like white men mutilating black men, castrating them, putting their manhood in their mouth, making them eat it, while they burning them and torturing them and making them do that. They trying to say that's a sexual perversion. There ain't no sexual perversion right there. Yeah, that's just fucking a cannibalistic instinct. That ain't no sexual perversion. That's a cannibal perversion. Now, the white woman, her motherfucking ass, I don't know what she already thinking about that. She saw Sarah nursing the baby. And she talk about them babies and stuff because she can't have kids, remember. So she saw Sarah nursing the baby fell asleep. Well, her ass seen some milk on Sarah's breast and went and started sucking Sarah's titties. Yes, she did. And Sarah was like, with her hands balled up. And she was talking about she'll slap the hell out of Sarah. Why is Sarah looking like that? Why she just said that that's sexual perversion. Right there. Y'all, we were never supposed to stay around these people like this. I can't even imagine to refrain from all of this in them and stuff. And the way things is happening is naturally happening. This is karma happening. And that's what's inside of them for a long time now. I don't know, hell, I didn't know this was inside of them. I knew about slavery and I forgave it, but honey, this is insane. It's inhumane. Yeah, this don't say, it seems like this another species. And I don't know why folks haven't said it or came upon that and stuff. And they're like, oh, it's just some people like that in the world. Some people, it's just a racist attitude and so that's a damn lie. This is not human to do these type of things. It ain't. How you gonna sit there and do another human being like that? Even little bitty babies. What was done to Mary Turner, baby? Honey, no, don't even play with me. Do not even play with me. Think I'm gonna be lying to y'all. I ain't gonna be lying to y'all. Sure what? Other folks might lie, but I'm not. It took me too long. I've been asleep for 43 years. Now that I done woke up, it's time to tell y'all exactly, reading these books and stuff, what I see. What I see. What it means for us. What it look like. Since don't nobody want to tell us. Don't nobody want to tell us. Can you imagine what the New World Order is going to be like? No, we can't even imagine nothing like that. Honey, we is in a world of shit with these people. By force, we got to do for us now. Ain't no need second guessing it. It ain't no need second guessing it. While you getting your garden up and stuff, honey, get a basket for everybody else too. You got 2 sisters, get both of them a welcome basket with the seeds, the soil. Hook them up. Hook them up so they can get started with their garden and stuff. We're going to have to be self-sustaining now. Yeah, we're going to have to help each other. We're going to have to provide and protect for each other, teach each other. We're going to have to do that. And we ain't got but this much time to do it. Because everybody done misled us, lied to us, kept us so distracted. Yeah, kept us so distracted, we ain't seen nothing. Man. Oh, we reading about this lady in the book, Delphine. Honey, I was reading about her. What was that I was reading about? Delphine LaLaurie. Oh, she was the first serial killer, a white woman, y'all, with slaves and stuff. It was like in the 1786 or something like that. And the lady in this book, her name is Delphine. She's a slave in this book. Well, the other Delphine that I was reading about just today, Delphine LaLaurie. And she had slaves in her mansion, y'all. All the white people had slaves and stuff. But she had her slaves chained up, honey, and she was beating them and stuff. And the old black lady that was chained up had a hole in her head, a gaping wound in her head. It was a young black girl in a box, a 3x3x3 box. Some of these stories, they said that it was, extravagance, by the media and stuff, or more like folklore. But, if they did like the crab lady, where she broke her bones and let them reset the wrong way, and that's the only way she could move. They were like, that right there were like maybe folklore and stuff. But they found a whole bunch of horrific slaves in her house. Her ass, just like Carolyn Bryant, she ended up, because the other white folks found out about how her slaves was. Oh, honey. Yes, they threw that lady up under the bus and everything. And they had slaves themselves. But see, they wasn't as horrific, they said, as the other lady was with her slaves stuff. But she ended up running, her doctor husband, I think he was a doctor, and she ended up leaving the country and stuff and lived her long life and all of that stuff. It's so much to our history we don't even know. And I just commented on it because the lady in this book is named Delphine too, but it's all by design. Everything is. Everything is by design and stuff. You really gonna need your faith now. You better add the ancestors on there. Yeah, I think I'm finna put them up on my wall somewhere. Everybody. Yep, I know one thing. I'm finna start giving. What do Bobby Hemmett be doing when he be calling out the name? Where's my notes and stuff? When he be calling out the names and stuff, honey. Yeah. Daily libations. That's what it is. Daily libations. Yep, I couldn't find them. But yeah, because this spiritual now, I'm trying to get out the way. So I be no left for all of y'all trying to get out the way. You better move. You better move. Let me turn my fan on and stuff because I ain't trying to get hot and fooling with, with these folks and stuff and what they doing and honey. So really, all of this has been planned the whole time. Yep. Well, I hope I ain't got no book in my nose. Hold on. It's one thing for me to sit up here and take my ponytail out of my head. It's one thing for me to sit here and take my ponytail out of my head, but I don't want to be sitting up here with no booger in my nose. So I just had to go, and yeah. But Bobby Hemmett, he always be doing the daily libations. And that's where you pour water. I think I did it one time, though. I'm going to have to get a plant. Yeah, I'm going to get a plant, and I'm going to get a little small cup, one of them little small party cups. And when I give daily libations and stuff, that way I can pour a little water off in there. So, but you call the name of your ancestor, and you pour a little water out and stuff because this you can feel it. This is spiritual. It's spiritual. And I got sprouts coming up. We gonna be all right. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like, I know you probably have, faces kind of like all over the place tonight and stuff, but I am, because it's true. The extermination of black people. What's that one book? It's really not a book. It's a damn document. I mean, it's 1,408 pages. The American Dilemma, and it's genocide. Yep, it's genocide. That's one of our books we got to get. The American Dilemma, The Negro Problem and Modern Democracy 2. So I guess it was a part 1. We'll find out, though. This 1944 publication is the largest study on BA. When I write stuff down now, I don't know if there's Black America, Black Africa, or BA. It possibly is both of them, Black America and Black Africa, because we are one and the same. We have connection. We do resonate. And it was commissioned during the Roosevelt administration, financed by the Carnegie Foundation, and organized by a Swedish-born author. 1,400 pages of genocide. So yeah, I'm like, I should have just quit school in the 3rd grade. So all of these agendas here: the Manhattan Project, Minerva Project. They tore down the Georgia Guidestones. Yeah, then there's the King Alfred Plan, which is reminiscent of the other. Okay, Alter the Philadelphia Experiment, Operation Paperclip, Operation Gladio. Yeah, I don't mean to be disrespectful or nothing like that, but we're going to need more than Jesus. Possibly start calling on Krishna and Buddha and Zoroaster and Dionysus and Horus. Call on everybody. I'm just saying. And then your ancestors. To call on your ancestors. That's who I call on initially. Yeah. Anyway, I do. But yeah, it's time, y'all. Ain't no need in playing and acting like, yeah, we still got time and this is not really happening. And yeah, it's going to be okay. You're going to get through this and stuff. No, not without no action. Not without no growth. We're not. We're going to have to evolve through this. We're going to have to evolve so we can survive this. Whatever you want to call it. Yep. Talk to your people and stuff. Your white folks and stuff that's in your life. Let them know. See where they mind at. What is they thinking about? What the hell is they thinking about? Yeah, because this is real for us. This is real for black folks. Yeah, don't be misled. Oh, honey, do not be misled. Thinking that that's going to be your safety, your shelter over there. No, it ain't. Let's read. I don't want to go back too far. Oh, yeah, we on a new chapter. Did we get to, let me see, did we get to a new chapter? Insurrection. Was that what we, let me back up and see. Because I was thinking, did we? Yes. Because remember, she was at the house and stuff, and she was hearing noises. The white lady was, Manning. She was hearing noises in the wall. She even got her ear to the floor, honey, because she thinks she hearing noises and stuff. But it could be Sarah, because remember, Sarah, Sarah's first owner was in love with her. But a black man was in love with Sarah too and wanted to marry Sarah, the uncle. So he sold Sarah, gave Sarah to Manning because he didn't want the black man to have Sarah. So now that Sarah is with the missus at her mama house, and her mama done died, see, and she done got a little money and done got the land and stuff. So she don't really want to go back to her husband and stuff. But the slave man, he done found, the black man, he done found out Sarah's there. So he came to see Sarah. I don't know if that's who she hear talking, but she can't figure out who it is or what it is and stuff. But I'm thinking that's possibly who it is. They meeting and talking a little bit. I don't know. Also, She did see the shadow of a black man standing under an oak tree. And I'm wondering, was that a vision or a ghost from one of them slaves and stuff? But let's read. Because, yeah, she crazy as hell. Yeah. I hope my husband would be out. He done told her to come back and bring your mother's money, your father's money. Yeah, he done found out that her mama done left her that cottage and the land that's with it and some money. So he done told her to come back to the plantation and stuff. I hope my husband will be occupied with his roofing project, and I might at least have the leisure to change from my traveling clothes without seeing him. But as soon as we made the last turn into the drive, there he was, stamping up and down on the porch, waving a walking stick, which he clearly did not require. He was shouting at Mr. Sutter, who sat astride his horse. In the next moment, this gentleman tore off at a gallop, charging past us without a word as if pursued by the devil. My husband came to the steps to attend our arrival. He was wearing a rumpled white shirt. He was wearing a rumpled white suit without a cravat, riding boots, and an oversized planter's hat that squashed his red hair into a clump above his eyebrows. The sight of him was like a door slamming in my face. I even heard the catch of the latch, though perhaps it was only Sarah's baby swallowing hard. There her ass go, thinking about the baby, breastfeed. So now she back with him because he got a fetish for Sarah. Sarah, his favorite one out of all the slaves. Now she got a fetish for Sarah. Hey, this is, yeah. Oh, that's in them too. That's in them too. The infatuation, the love, the lust for black women. That's it. That, yeah. Yep. Sarah had made a paste of cornbread in her palm and was feeding the child from her fingertips. The baby was eating some cornbread, though. The creature couldn't seem to get enough of it. See, her motherfucking ass, she called the babies creatures and ugly and black. The babies, because they by her husband, the master. And she can't have kids. I noticed 2 white teeth coming into its lower jaw. As I watched, it smacked its lips and gave me an absurdly cheerful grin. It would find little to be happy about in being weaned, I thought. And Sarah's long face told me she thought so too. But not for what her ass thinking about. She want to wean the baby so she can take over and get the rest of the milk. Yeah. Sexual perversion. That book was not a sexual perversion. It didn't say that the white men were sleeping with the black men, although they probably were, and it didn't say that they was leaning in to suck their blood out of the wounds that they was causing on them, stabbing and cutting off their fingers and toes and nose and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure they got close enough and suckled their blood out of them. Yeah. But it didn't say anything that was like sexual perversion. Now, in this book, the sexual perversion is her husband, the master. He liked to see the little boys, the little black boys. He make them get close together. And one of them get aroused, get an erection. And he'll make them come forward and beat them. And that'll give his ass an erection. Then he go wreak havoc on all the slave women. He go at all of them all night long. It's like what is it? A Valium pill to them. What's that pill called? They take it. The elderly men do. So it's like one of them. Yeah. That's a sexual perversion. Yeah, honey, we got this time to get away from these people. And I know some of them may not even know a face. That's not true. I've never felt like that before. You had to hit. It's in them. The first instinct is to deny it. But the truth is true. Just because it ain't been shown and we ain't witnessed it, it don't mean just ignore it all, y'all. We still got to get the hell away. Even if it wasn't this sexual perversion. I'm just saying, is that where it's coming from? Because the other book made mention to the black man's manhood too. And it affected the white man's mentality about the black man's manhood. Other men don't feel like this, and other women don't feel like this. It's just white people feel like this. Well, either way it goes, time we got to get away from it. We ain't got time to decide which one are the 1,000 garden snakes and which ones are the 10,000 rattlesnakes and boas and pythons, and we ain't got time for all of that and stuff. We just got to be like, we still can coexist together. We still on the planet together and stuff, but we can't survive with white folks like this no more. No, we cannot survive with them like this no more. We keep fucking around, and we're gonna be trying to work on our genetic survival. We're gonna have to pay attention to our genetic survival. We keep fucking off and stuff. Yeah. So let's read. The driver reined in the horses, and the rocking of the, where was we at? Okay. The driver reined in the horses, and the rocking of the carriage smoothed out as they slowed to a walk. We were close enough for my husband to take off his hat and wave it at us. I just want to turn around and go back, I said to no one. Sarah stuffed the last bit of paste into the baby's mouth and brushed the remains over the side of the carriage. We came to a halt. The driver leaped from his seat, and in a moment we stood in the dirt facing one another. The welcome home scene. Only let it be brief, I thought. Thank heaven you are safe, my husband exclaimed, relieving me of my traveling case. I have been worried half to death. Sarah poured down the sack of mother's linens and slipped past us into the house. The slave's blessing, I thought, forever exempt from the duties of greeting. I'm safe enough, I said to my husband, but I'm very tired. If you don't mind, I'll go straight to my room and rest until supper. Of course, he said, shadowing me up the steps and through the door in a kind of anxious, ridiculous dance. But I must inform you of the report I have just received from Mr. Sutter. A group of runaways has organized at Pass Manic. Their plan is to march downriver, picking up recruits along the way. They mean to join another group at Donaldsonville. They have called in a militia there. I'm surprised you weren't warned by patrols on the road. Mr. Sutter said a slave at Overton informed the overseer of the plot yesterday. The revolt is planned for this very night. And this informant is a free man today, I snapped. Doesn't it ever occur to anyone that these plots only exist in the brains of malcontents who have realized they can get their freedom by scaring us out of our wits? Oh, she mad. Yeah, it's got exclamation points. This silenced him long enough for me to get to the stairs. I went up to my room without further comment and found Sarah unpacking. The baby already asleep in his crate. Leave that, I said. Go and tell Delphine to make me a tisane. What's that? Tisane. Yeah, make me a tisane. My head is splitting. As she went out, I collapsed in the rocking chair. I fell to thinking of my husband's remark about the militia. Indeed, we had seen no patrols, no other carriage to speak of. We saw one Negro riding a mule and another leading a goat by a bit of rope. The epidemic was over in the city. The weather was fine. Yet mile after mile, the river road was empty and still. Had this rumor so engaged the population that they were afraid to move? If there really was a conspiracy north of us, and they intended to meet up with cohorts in Donaldsonville, they would have to cross the river. And how would they do this? The narrowest stretch and the most reliable ferry was just south of our property. Did they plan to come? Oh, did they plan to commandeer the ferry? Hold on, y'all. Did they? Oh, thank you, darling. Oh, love. Happy Mother's Day to you too, sweetie. Hey, what you doing? Oh, and yeah, sisters, happy Mother's Day every day. I'm just saying. Yeah, I apologize for that, y'all. Yeah, where were we at? Go and tell Delphine make me a trash. She went out, I collapsed in the rocking chair. I failed to think about my husband's remark about the militia. Indeed, we had seen no patrols, no other carriage to speak of. We saw one Negro riding a mule and another leading a goat by a bit of rope. The epidemic was over in the city. The weather was fine, yet mile after mile, the river road was empty and still. Had this rumor so engaged the population that they were afraid to move? If there really was a conspiracy north of us and they intended to meet up with cohorts in Donaldsonville, they would have to cross the river. And how would they do this? The narrowest stretch and the most reliable ferry was just south of our property. Did they plan to commandeer the ferry? Sarah came in with the tray, which she set on the side table. I watched her back as she poured out the tea and stirred in the sugar. It struck me that she knew more about this story than I did, that she and Delphine could probably name the informer as well as the leader of the runaways. When she brought me the cup, I studied her face, her lowered eyes, her expressionless mouth. She was feeling sullen, I concluded. He'll be locking us up tonight, I gather, I said, she taking Sarah with her so he can't get her. I said, taking the cup, my eyes still on her face. Oh, she gave me a sudden penetrating look, then turned away. I hope she don't attack Sarah. I drank my tea. A blade of anxiety sliced through the pain in my head, laying it open and raw. In Sarah's look, I had read the same question I had in my own mind. How much do you know? What did we eat that night? What did we eat that night? It seems a place to start. There was a gumbo, but what kind? It was the last pleasurable moment. Sarah lifting the lid of the tureen, and the delicious aroma filling the room. My aunt's cook, Inez, had served it often enough in the town, but in my opinion, no one made it better than Delphine. Was it chicken? After that, there was another course and another, but what? My husband droned on about the crop, as he thought it unwise to discuss the threat of a revolt before the servants, though there was only Sarah. He must have pictured Sarah telling Delphine or Rose, who would tell some passing hand, and thus it would make its way to the quarter, as if every Negro in 50 miles didn't already know all about it. I drank a good deal of wine. Sarah lit the lamps and served the coffee. The room seemed smoky to me, airless. When Sarah went out, my husband got up and bolted the shutters on the casings, which made it seem like a prison. I like a glass of port, I said. My husband suggested that he had a good bottle in his office. I followed him there. Will you be joining the patrol? I asked as he poured out a tablespoon of port. Not at first, he said. They'll be starting near the pass and pushing down this way. He held the glass out to me. I'd like a little more than that, if you don't mind, I said. He looked puzzled, then took my meaning. I know these conspiracies must be torture on your nerves, he said, filling the glass. On the contrary, I said, it gives me something to think about besides my song. He ignored this remark. In truth, I'm reluctant to leave the house. I can't trust anyone to stand guard. If the informant told the truth, this plot has infiltrated every corner from Point Coupe, Coupee, to the city on both sides of the river. He opened his cabinet and took down 2 pistols. With the militia called out, they can have no chance of success, I observed. What do they possibly hope to accomplish? They just want to murder as many of us as they can, he said. They don't think further than that. I sipped my port, thinking of them gathered around their fires of an evening, their rude passions inflamed by the wild talk of some preacher, planning how best to kill us all. And it wasn't just the field hands. In New Orleans, I had heard of an American lady who discovered her maid attempting to poison the entire household by lacing the sugar with arsenic. What benefit would her mistress's demise be to her, since she would only be sold again, perhaps to a more severe mistress? It puzzled me. I suppose it's just the numbers, I said. My husband cast me a questioning look, distracted by the business of tamping powder into one of his pistols. Is it because they outnumber us so? I explained. They don't understand why they can't do whatever they please. It is because they are fiendish brutes, my husband said. Look who talking. He laid the pistol down and gave me his attention. There's another matter I wish to speak with you about, Manning. Will you hear me out? My inheritance, I thought. I was about to find out how he planned to squander my father's money. I'm at your convenience, I said. He raised one leg so that he was half sitting on the end of the desk. While you was away, I thought a great deal of you, more than I do when you are here. Absence makes. I waved my hand at the rest. It wasn't that. It was that I knew if you could have your own way, you would never return. This straightforward statement of the simple truth took me by surprise. I set my glass on the side table and drew in a breath. The opportunity for honest exchange between us was rare, and I determined to take advantage of it to advance a plan, a dream, really that I had formulated on the long way back from town. No, I said, if it were not my obligation, I would never return here. He narrowed his eyes as if my confession pained him, though it couldn't have been unexpected, as he just remarked upon his certainty of my preference. Isn't there some way we could close this rift between us and live as husband and wife? He pleaded. Clearly, he imagined there was something he could say that would persuade me to invite him into my bedroom, an idea that had no appeal to me at all. No, I said. He studied me a moment, evidently mystified by my coldness. It's that simple, is it? He said. It is, yes, I said, but as you brought up this rift, as you call it, I do have a proposition regarding it. I'm willing to hear it, he said. What I propose is that we agree to spend more time apart. Now that I have my mother's house, I can stay in town for the season. I will have to have a cook as Peak is gone, and I will take Sarah with me, so you might do as mother so often advised you and buy a proper butler. I thought the loss of your mother might soften your heart toward me, he said. I see it has had the opposite effect. I am orphaned, I said. Who would defend my interests if I don't defend them myself? I will never agree to your proposal, he said. I expected this response, had indeed planned for it, holding my high card in my chest like a proper gambler. And if I were to leave Sarah here, I said, what then? He brought his hand to his chin and began pulling at his mustache, his eyes fixed on me with resolute puzzlement. He could see it. He would have Sarah to himself and I would be gone. He mulled it over with the same expression he gave the menu on those rare occasions when we had dined at restaurants together. The prospect of making the wrong choice vexed him sorely. You are my wife, he declared at last. This is my misfortune, I said. He stood up, returning his attention to his pistols. I don't see that we can afford to keep your mother's house, he said. I plan to have my lawyer seek out a buyer for it. My resolution failed me and my eyes filled with useless tears. No, I said, I won't consent to that. He smiled indulgently, turning his pistol over in his hands. Well, he said, don't cry, Manny. We will discuss the matter. There's plenty of time. It's my house, I protested. He didn't bother to answer this assertion, thereby making me more conscious of how hollow it was. I dried my eyes against my sleeve. I suppose we should first see we should see first. I suppose we should first see if we can get through this night without incident, he said. I want you and Sarah to stay in your room, but leave the door open. I plan to pass the night on the couch on the landing. I want to be able to hear you should you call for help. This struck me as an idiotic plan, but I felt too defeated to object. I finished off the port and stood up, not surprised that I was dizzy. My husband came to my side and tried to take my arm, but I pulled away brusquely. He followed me a few steps, then fell back. I have work to finish here, he said, as if I were interested in his plans. I'll come up when I've made sure the kitchen is locked. I dragged myself up the stairs. In my room, I found Sarah spreading mother's shawl out on her mattress. The baby lay on his stomach near her feet, trying to crawl but getting nowhere. At least that one would be gone soon, I thought. I went to the window and looked out into the darkness. It was cool and clear. There was a damp breeze from the north that made me pull my own shawl tight over my chest. I should close the window before I go to bed, I thought, or put on another blanket. I considered this trivial question for a few moments as I leaned on my elbows, looking out at the stars. There was a gibbous moon, Gibbous. How fine it would be to walk out under the trees. But that, of course, was unthinkable. I don't see any signs of an uprising out here, I said to amuse myself. I glanced back at Sarah, who was on her knees, looking up at me. Her eyebrows knit as if I had addressed her in a language she didn't understand. I turned back to the night, chiding myself for having spoken facetiously. The truth was that at that moment I wanted nothing more than to pour out the tale of my unhappiness to someone who loved me. But there was no such person. He's going to sell my house, I thought, and I'll be trapped here till I die. I scanned the roots of the tree, recalling the night I'd seen a man there looking at me. I told no one, partly from a wish that my silence might result in difficulty for my husband, partly from fear that he would seize on the information to increase his hysterical vigilance. My little circuit, I thought, from hope to fear and back again. I heard a night bird cry and an answering call from near the kitchen. And you know, that's how the ancestors would signal each other. They would give that bird's call. A dim light suffused the air in that direction. Delphine was awake, locked in there with Walter and Rose. He would turn the dogs loose outside before he came up. The quarter was under a strict curfew. No man, woman, or child would dare show his face until morning time. All night the master would stride about his citadel, pointing his pistols at insects, breezes, mice, and in the morning we would have breakfast as usual. Another blanket, I decided. It was chilly and there was no mosquitoes. I would sleep without the bar. I turned to tell Sarah to take a blanket from the armoire. She was wrapping the baby tightly in her shawl. This struck me as curious. She passed a fold over his head so that it looked like an Indian baby, such as I have seen in the market in town, attached to his mother's back by a leather strap. A papoose. That was what they called them. My eye fell upon the welcome sight of the blue bottle containing my sleeping tincture, and I took a few steps to the table. I detected a motion at the doorway and turned to see what it was. Oh, my ancestors! Is it finna be Sarah's love? He coming to get her. I'm just saying, is that what it is? Was that him gave out that ha, ha, and let Sarah know that he coming? That's why she done wrap the baby up. Finna knock the hell out of man and motherfucking ass. And they finna be gone. I don't know. Let's read. Let's read now. I'm just saying. Woo wee. I detected a motion at the doorway and turned to see what it was. High against the jamb, the upper part of a black face with only one eye showing in. Whoa, yep. High against the jamb, the upper part of a black face with only one eye showing peered in at me. In that same moment I saw it, it slipped away, leaving me unsure of my own eyes. My thoughts scattered in every direction, seeking some reasonable explanation. My husband had decided to take a trustworthy guard into the house after all. Or this was a messenger with important news from town. My body had no such faltous doubts. F-A-T-O-U-S. F-A-T-U-O-U-S doubts. The blood that rushed to my brain left my knees weak and my head as clear as a street swept by a hurricane. The event we all feared most had begun, and there was to be no escape from it. I slumped against the bed, opened my mouth, but no sound came out. Sarah got up, cradling the bundle she had made of her baby. She went to the window. When I looked back at the doorway, there was the single eye again, watching me. Sarah, I said softly, turning slowly, cautiously to the window. She was leaning out, holding the baby close to her chest, looking first one way and then the other way. Soundlessly, she held the bundle out over the sill and dropped it. The baby fell in a carrier of hay. I listened for the thump, the cry, but there was nothing. What did it mean? She turned from the window, her eyes wide, looking past me at the apparition in the doorway. She saw it too. My mind was not made easier by this revelation. I turned back, still clinking to the bedpost. Though I felt my strength returning, the face was there, a little more of it now, a bit of the nose and cheek. How long did he intend to spy on us like this in this absurd fashion? What are you doing here? I asked. How calm my voice was. For answer, he stepped boldly into the doorway. He was a tall man, very black, dressed in a loose cotton shirt and rough breeches, no shoes. In one hand, he held a cane cutter. In the other one, he had a butcher knife. He stood with his feet turned out, his shoulders slumped, and his eyes strangely unfocused, as if presenting himself for inspection. I didn't think I had seen him before. He was a field hand or run away from somewhere. There would be no reasoning with him. And indeed, no compelling argument sprang to my mind. Where was my husband with his pistols? His obsession had finally materialized, and he was nowhere to be found. It crossed my mind that he was already dead. He's not alone, Sarah said, and I replied, no, I think not. Come and stand close to me. She moved to my side, and there we stood, while the air grew thick with the inevitability, you know what I'm trying to say, of murder. We heard the first shot, a shout, then another shot. Our captor appeared unconcerned. Everything was quiet. Only the curtain rustled in the breeze. All at once, the scratching in the wall started up loud and urgent, as if the silence was too much for the rodent to bear. I could hear Sarah's shallow breathing next to me, and in my ear, my own racing pulse. The man leaned back into the hallway, looking toward the landing. A voice called up the stairs, "Bring him down." He stepped back, motioning us into the hallway with his cane knife. My impulse was to run, but where? My husband had taken great care to lock the house, evidently sealing us in with our murderers. Sarah took up the lamp and preceded me out to the landing. Our captor followed closely, his shadow leaping up the wall in front of me, so that I felt surrounded by him. At the landing, he said, "Wait." I stopped. Sarah turned back, and we both watched as he examined the spyglass. A cough drew my attention down to where the light from the dining room pooled at the foot of the stairs. Another man was there, smaller, blacker, holding a pistol at his side and smiling up at me. "Come down now, ladies," he said, "and come slow." I rested my hand on the rail and went down, pausing at each step. Sarah came behind me, holding up the lamp so that I was outlined in light. My head was bursting with questions. Where was my husband? What had happened to Sarah's baby? Was Delphine safe in the kitchen like her ass cat? How many men were there? How did they get in? And above all, how could I escape? At the end of the hall, I saw that the front door was open, and a third man stood in the frame. He held a rifle against his shoulder and looked out at the darkness. The one who had spoken, whom I took to be their captain, stepped back to let me pass. Just go right on in there, he said, indicating the dining room. I did as he instructed and received a hard shock. There were four more of them. One was sprawled in a side chair shirtless, while another knelt before him, wrapping a length of cloth around the seated man's bleeding arm. They had opened all of the shutters and casings. Another man, gripping a short knife, leaned in one doorway looking out, while the last, armed with a sword, stood just outside the room looking in. Sarah passed me and set the lamp on the sideboard. More lamps was on the table, along with the remains of a ham and half a loaf of bread, thrown there without the bother of plates. They cut into the ham with their knives, leaving deep gashes in the wood. They destroyed that table, I thought, which made me angry. My anger made me bold. I addressed their captain, who stood blocking the door. Where's my husband? The captain came into the room, pulled out a chair, and sat down, giving me a rueful smile. That's just what I like to know, he said. He clipped my beard here. He lifted his hand to the wounded man and run right out the front door. Ain't that a coincidence? He clipped his beard. That's what he said. And I told y'all, you go to heaven, they're going to clip your wings. But I digress. So he had escaped. Then he will alert the patrol, I said. The wounded man laughed. Ha! I don't think so, the captain said. He got a loaded shot in his backside, the wounded man said. I'm thinking your husband laying close by, Missy, the captain said. He wilding, he won't leave his woman. I'm thinking he'd come right to us. You should run while you still can, I said. For answer, the captain examined his pistol, turned it over in his hands. It was my husband's, and he used it just as my husband did, as an aid to thought. I looked at Sarah, who stood with her back to the sideboard, as if she expected to be called upon to serve coffee. There was a shout outside. The man with the sword rushed across the porch and plunged into the azaleas. That be him now, the captain said. There were more shouts, the sound of scuffling. A man backed into the porch, crouched down, then lurched forward, falling headlong against the bricks. I got him, a voice cried, and another man laughed. What is it? The same voice said. The captain got up and went to the doors as the guard came in, holding out before him the naked, filthy, squirming, screaming body of Walter, the little boy. Be careful now, the guard said. He bite. The little Sarah little boy by the master. His name Walter. He got red hair, looked just like the man. Turn him loose, the captain ordered. As soon as his feet hit the ground, the boy tried to dive back outside, but he was redirected by a kick from the guard and took off around the dining table. Is this one yours, Missy? The captain asked me. He a little yellow monkey, the wounded man said. Walter had spotted the ham and was trying to pull himself onto the table. The captain approached him, broke off a piece of bread from the loaf, and offered it to the creature, who shook his head vehemently, emitting a high-pitched whine and stretching out his arms to the ham. He just a little boy, I think he like 3. He don't want no bread, the wounded man observed. What's his name? The captain said to me. Walter, I said. Tell him to stop that noise, he said. I shrugged. He don't hear, Sarah said. The captain regarded her closely, drew the obvious conclusion and laughed. Miss Hyella got herself a little red-headed monkey, he said. He raised the butt of his pistol and brought it down with a sharp crack across the side of Walter's head. The child crumbled to the carpet, kicked his legs up, moaned once, then lay still. No one spoke. I realized that my palms were damp, my mouth strangely dry. I glanced at Sarah, who had laid her hand across her mouth and closed her eyes, and then at the wounded man. His attendant had finished the bandaging. The captain went to him and petted his head. How bad is it? He said. The man looked up into his face with a bemused smile. raised his arm a few inches and winced. Not too bad, he said. Where's this devil done clipped my crow? The captain asked, spreading away to join the two at the doors. Walter moved his arm, opened his eyes, but made no sound. So he wasn't dead. The captain stood between his men, gazing out into the night. He was a trim, bandy-legged man with a big head, 2 shades darker and half a foot shorter than his companions. He was running straight to the gallows, and he knew it. All I could hope was that I might live to see that day. We could hear the unmistakable sound of a horse's hooves coming across the grass, fast at a gallop. Damn, the captain said, and ran onto the porch, waving his pistol. One of the men followed. The other turned on us, jabbing his knife menacingly. Get yourselves together there, he said, pointing to the table. Sarah and I did as he directed and stood with our backs to the table, not daring to look at each other. We heard a shot alongside the house. The man who had been guarding the front door ran past the casements. The horse was getting very close, and the next moment I expected to see it come crashing into the room. I felt a pull at my skirt and looked down at Walter. His mouth was opening and closing, and a stream of drool poured onto the carpet. A torch went up outside, and I saw the horse hurtling toward the house, his big head lifted, fighting to bite. Just as it was about to collide with the porch columns, it veered, pitching into the azaleas. It was my husband's bay gelding, riderless, the reins tangled in the saddle. Quickly it recovered its footing, backed out of the bushes, and stood trembling on the drive. The torch came behind it. Every one of us in that room stood transfixed, trying to make out the exact positions of the two men walking in the torchlight. One was the captain, his chest thrust out, his hands resting on his hips. The other walking with an odd shambling gait, holding the torch high in one hand and in the other a pistol pointed steadily at the head of his captain, was my husband. They passed the horse, which ambled away in the darkness, and came across the drive to the house. As they entered the room, my husband thrust the torch at the remaining guard, who backed away nervously. The men were all riveted by the pistol, but I was fascinated by the change in my husband. He was smeared from head to toe with mud and blood. His neck was gashed, and blood just poured down his chest, soaking his shirt, which was torn nearly to shreds. His hair was wild, standing out on one side, packed flat with mud on the other. His eyes burned with excitement. He jabbed a pistol at his captain's temple and said, "Now just don't move." The wounded man sat forward in his chair and said, "Oh, Lord." "Just do what he say," the captain ordered. "That's right," my husband said. "Manning, come stand behind me." I did as he said. He's going to save me, I thought, and a great perplexity came upon me. I was looking at his back, which was bloody from the waist down. Everyone was still but Walter, who groaned once, clutched his head in his hands, and sat up. "Now we will walk out the door," my husband said. "Just the three of us." I looked back at Sarah, who was edging away from the table, her eyes on the wounded Negro. Did my husband mean Sarah? But no, he meant the captain. That was the three of us. My husband pressed the barrel of the pistol into the man's ear and backed him toward the door. Then we was outside, walking on the drive. The horse stood farther off on the lawn, calmly ripping up grass. As my eyes grew accustomed to the dark, I went ahead, pulling my skirt up about my legs. There was one thought in my head, though, and that was to get to the horse. The captain was speaking. I dimly apprehended the purport of his message, that we were outnumbered, that it made little difference whether he was killed or not. My husband would not survive. He was a dead man. I am. You are, my husband replied. It's just a question of who goes first. That's right, the captain said. That's right. Perfect, I thought. They are in agreement. She finna leave his ass. The torch was growing dimmer with every second. I could make out the dining room doors and someone inside moving toward them. What was the one with the rifle we had run into the night at the sound of the horse? I scanned the bushes. The further we got from the house, the darker it became. If I did get to the horse, which way should I ride? I heard voices from the house, raised, anxious, then a crash as if someone had dropped a tray of glasses. The sound of rapid footsteps came toward us across the lawn. My husband stopped, looked back, still keeping his pistol close to the captain's ear. And I looked too. An eerie, pale figure whirled towards us, its feet barely touching the ground. After that, everything happened quickly. It happened so fast, though it felt as if time itself had fallen open like a book, and each new impression was completed, even recollected, before the next one even began. Walter, for of course it was he, threw himself at my husband's legs with such force that he stumbled, cursing. The captain took advantage of his imbalance to knock the pistol from his hand. I fell to my knees, trying to reach the pistol. The captain kicked me in the face so hard that I sprawled upon the ground. Suddenly, there were others running in all directions. A guard appeared, his butcher knife slicing the air before him, and gave chase to my husband, who had shaken Walter from his legs and was running. I got to my hands and my knees. Sarah appeared outside the dining room doors, her hair and her skirts flying, headed for the side of the house. My husband disappeared into a copse of creep myrtle. His pursuer followed. I got to my feet and took a few steps toward the horse. The captain, having recovered the pistol, aimed it at me, shouting, "Stay there." Another figure came running out alongside the house. Sarah shouted, and the two ran to one another. Sarah changed directions, barely breaking her stride, and continued in the direction of the horse. "Where's the man?" the captain complained to me. Another guard, an enormous man brandishing a cane cutter, came lumbering up from nowhere, closing in on Sarah. To elude him, she turned toward me. My face and chin was wet. I put my hand to my cheek and felt a gash in my flesh. It must have been his toenail, I thought. Blood was flooding in my mouth. In the fall, I'd bitten through my lip. As Sarah approached, her pursuer paused to light a torch. In the blaze of light, much was revealed. Walter collided with Sarah and clung to her skirt. I saw her face, her rage and desperation as she struggled to free herself. "Let me go," she cried, kicking the creature, who released her. Wailing in distress, she kicked on, child. I don't know, let's read. Something was moving in the darkness just beyond the light. That must have not been Walter. Sarah turned, pointed into the blackness, and shouted to the guard who was very near her. "He here." "No, he's there." The captain walked away from me, blocking my view for a moment. In the next instant, I saw a hellish tableau. 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 Yeah. My husband was on his knees, struggling to rise. The big man held him by his hair. Sarah stood near him, clutching her baby close to her shoulder, her eyes on the cane knife, which the man raised high above his head. In the next moment, the knife came down. There was the sickening sound of steel breaking through bone, and my husband's head dropped forward on his chest at an impossible angle. The captain held his comrade, who stepped back to admire his handiwork. For a moment, my husband was still, as if he might stand up any minute now. Then he collapsed sidelong onto the grass. Sarah was running straight toward me. In my shock, I failed to see that I stood between her and the horse. But by the time she was close, I understood and reached out to stop her. Catching her by the elbow, she turned on me in a fury, turned at my face with her free hand, her sharp nails digging into my already wounded cheek. "They won't hurt you," I said. "Let me go first. They'll kill me if you don't." She kicked me, knocking me aside, but I caught her again by the shoulder. She spun around so quickly, loosening my grip, and sank her teeth into my hand. I cried out, "Ah!" Released her, and she left me behind, running full force to get to the horse. I went after her, nearly catching up at one point. As I ran, I could hear the men laughing. Sarah outdistanced me, sprang out into the saddle, honey, and started the horse so quick so that he reared up, came down, sidestepped one way, and then sidestepped the other way. The horse did. Somehow, clutching the baby across her stomach, honey, she gathered up them reins, gave a hard kick, and took off. Her skirt billowing out behind her. Her and the baby were gone. Just like that. The sound of the horse's hooves tearing up the grass. The sight of her bent low over that animal's neck confounded me. Absurd questions distracted me from my own peril. Where had she learned to ride like that? What direction would she take? Is this Sarah? Where's she going? Was she going for help? Then the sound of human feet pounding the ground restored me to what was left of my senses. I knew only enough to run, to keep running. I heard the captain shout. The report of the pistol, which seemed not loud, far away. Yet at the same time, there was a searing, astounding pain in my shoulder, and I understood I had been hit. I kept running. There was no cover. I had no idea where I was, what direction to take. The house was somewhere behind me, overrun with murderers. If I could get to the quarter, surely someone would protect me, talking about the slaves. It was black, the ground riddled with roots that tripped me, and nettle grass that cut my feet like razors. Somewhere along the way, I lost my flimsy shoes. Gradually, the ground seemed to decline beneath my feet. The grass thinned out, and the earth became wet and cool. At last, there were branches, bushes, places to hide. I could hear them still behind me, still in pursuit. So I pressed on, feeling my way by clutching at limbs and seeking the driest ground with my feet. My skirt caught on every bramble. I paused long enough to pull it up between my legs and knot it above my knees. Insects swarmed around my head. My hand closed on something sinuous and leathery. I recoiled, losing my balance, and sat down hard on the tree root. I could hear the men's voices. Not as close, but not far enough. Keep going, I told myself, and got to my feet. Something skittered across the ground. A bat whirred overhead. I took a few steps, holding my hand out before me. I was standing in a few inches of water. Wrong way, I thought, and changed directions. But the next steps only brought the icy water to my knees. Wrong way, I told myself again, turning once more. This time, my feet found less water, more mud to my shins. I sliced through. My shoulder had turned into a throbbing mass. The pain made me groan with every step. Insects flew into my mouth and my eyes, buzzing louder and louder until I couldn't hear nothing else. They would eat me alive, I thought. I would die where I stood. Then miraculously, a solution occurred to me, one I'd seen the Negroes use to my disgust. I bent down and plunged my hands into the cool mud, then smeared it over my face, my arms, and into my hair. Put it on thick, I told myself, squatting to get another handful of mud. The buzzing subsided. I went on, feeling my way. I was out of the mud on soft ground. Then my feet found a patch of cool ferns that felt like a carpet laid beneath my feet. I stopped, listened, heard a variety of noises, but none of them voices. They wouldn't waste what little time they had left in this world to search the swamp for a wounded woman, I thought. A powerful lethargy swept over me. My legs were leading. I could not lift my head. A little further, I told myself. I could make out the trunk of a big oak just ahead, as wide around as a cabin. I staggered to it, stumbling in a maze of its roots, which sprawled out in every direction, making various moss-covered nests. I sat down in one of these, close to the trunk. It seemed a perfect resting spot. When I moved my arm, the pain made me cry. Ah. My dress was stuck to my back from my shoulder to my waist. How much blood have I lost, I wondered. Where's Sarah? Did she leave me? I heard a rushing sound overhead, a crack of branches in the brush nearby. I couldn't remember why I was in the forest at night. My head ached. I opened and closed my mouth. It felt as if my jaw was broken. I could see Sarah's face. Her lips pulled back over her teeth like a snarling dog as she struggled with me. They will kill me, I said. But she wasn't listening, and she didn't hear it. She didn't care. No, I thought. She heard me well enough. It was her hope that they would kill me. But I'm still alive, I said with satisfaction. Then it seemed the darkness around me was as much behind my eyes as in front of me, and I gave up trying to see through it. She fainted. Yep. So her husband, the master, dead. She shot through the shoulder, but she escaped. She hiding in the woods somewhere in the swamp by a big tree. Sarah and the baby got away. I don't know about Walter. Sarah kicked Walter off of her like that really wasn't Walter. That must have been something else. But let's read. When I opened my eyes again, I was looking at a black hand. The light was soft, pinkish, and there was a wheezing sound coming from somewhere behind me. It sounded like a torn bellows. I moved my fingers and understood that the hand was my own. The mud on my palm cracked open, revealing the pale flesh beneath. Remember, she smeared all that mud on her? My mouth was as dry as the mud. My head a circlet of pain that emanated down, then out to my shoulder where it became a fire. When I tried to sit up, nothing happened. I blinked, gazing up into the maze of limbs and leaves over my face. It must be just dawn, I thought. I tried turning onto my side away from the burning shoulder. This time I was successful. I pulled myself up onto my good arm. I knew where I was. I remember how I had gotten there. But what was this whistling at my back? Carefully, I turned my head. I was reminded that my cheek was torn, my jaw in some new configuration that made it throb like an outraged heart. I looked down at a bruised and naked body curled in a hollow between two roots, its arms and legs drawn in close, the side of his head swollen, bloody and bruised, its mouth open, snoring as peacefully as if the mouse was a feather bed. It was Walter. A racket of blue jays in a bush nearby made me want to clutch my head, but my right arm was unresponsive to my command. I noticed a thin stream running nearby. The water sparkled as the sun flushed over the tops of the bushes, and bright rays pierced the forest from every direction. I grasped a low branch passing near my nest and pulled myself to my feet. I was unsteady. I was in the purest agony, but I was on my feet. Wake up, Walter, I said in a voice to rival the jays. Then I recalled that my sleeping companion wouldn't hear a gun fired next to his ear. How had he found me? Did he know his way in this place? I peeled a clump of mud from my hand and threw it at him, striking him on the leg. His eyes flew open. He coughed, then began to cry. I should have left well enough alone, I thought. The stream probably ran toward the river. My way must be in the opposite direction. I took a step, then another. Each one felt as if it might be the last. Walter sat up among the roots and babbled nonsense. Quiet, I said, straining to see through to some wider area of light. A chameleon rushed past my feet. Another one stopped on the root in front of me and eyed me, one from each side of his head. A world of idiots and monsters, I thought, and I left to tell the tale. The air was damp, and the cold penetrated to my bones. It seemed to me there was a clearing beyond a bramble bush, but I couldn't see how to get to it, as the bush was as long as a city block. Walter got to his feet and walked off in the other direction, toward what I took to be the river. Should I follow? He disappeared beyond the next tree. Then I heard rapid footsteps. Slowly, painfully, I made my way in his tracks, skirting a tangle of broken branches and vines, then around the thick trunk of a bay tree. I was standing on the lawn looking up at the side of the house. Walter ran ahead of me across the grass toward what looked like a pile of clothing. The sun broke over the roof of the house, bathing the scene with a freshness utterly inappropriate to what it exposed. The air was bright, chilly, and still. I saw the cloud of flies rising above the crumbled body of my husband. Walter had reached it. He bent over the body and began struggling to lift the head, shrieking all the while. Don't do that, I thought. Don't touch him. The front doors of the house stood open. The dining room casements were all ajar, but there was no sign of living occupants. So the field hands had got up with the bell and gone out to their work. Oh. So the field hands had got up with the bell and gone out to their work, blissfully unaware that their master lay with his head nearly off on the lawn. Mr. Sutter had not come to join the fray. The vaunted patrol had skipped our house in its pursuit of the rebels. Was it possible? I dragged myself toward the drive, pausing every few steps to get my breath. I thought I might die of thirst before I got to the door. If only Delphine is here, I thought. I went in through the hall, glancing in at the dining room just long enough to see that it was wrecked. Chairs was upended, broken glass was everywhere, the remains of the ham mysteriously left on the carpet near the hall door. I went through the hall, out at the back, across the narrow yard to the kitchen door. It was closed. I tried the latch, it was locked. I leaned against it. Delphine, I said, are you there? Let me in. The curtain at the narrow window moved. Rose peeked out, gave a shout, and dropped the curtain. Let me in, I said again. I'm not a ghost, but I may be soon if you don't open this door. The curtain moved again. This time Delphine looked out. Is that you, missus? She said. I'm alive, I said. They didn't kill me. She pulled the bolt and the door swung out before me. Lord, missus, Delphine said, lead me inside. What happened to you? I got away, I said. I hid in the woods, but they shot me. I gestured to my shoulder. In the process, I saw my mud-daubed arm, my torn and bloody sleeve, and I remembered that I was covered in mud. Get me some water, I said, sinking into a chair at the table. I'm dying of thirst. The fire was up. There were pots already boiling, good smells of bread and meat. Delphine put a glass of water in front of me, and I drank it in one gulp. More, I said, holding out the glass. Rose brought the pitcher and filled it again. Delphine went to the kettle and poured hot water into a bowl, and then brought it to the table and added some cool water from the pitcher. She took a cloth, dropped it in the water, and wrung it out. I hardly knows where to start, she said. I took the cloth and wiped my face, wincing when I found the gash in my cheek. That's a bad cut, Rose observed. Delphine was unfastening the back of my dress. All these bits of cloth stuck in the wound, she said. It's gonna hurt to clean this one out. I can't lift my arm, I said. We heard a whining sound coming from the house, and in a moment, Walter stumbled into the yard. He was holding his face in his hands, weeping. His hands and bare chest were stained with dark blood. He stopped, took us in, and held out his arms, tears mixed with blood streaming down his face. His forehead was so swollen his eye was closed up. Poor child, Rose said, going to him. What they done to you? She picked him up and he buried his face in her neck. He's crying because his father's out there dead on the lawn, I said. There was a brief hush in which everyone noticed that I had spoken of my husband as Walter's father. Delphine took the cloth from me and rinsed it in the basin. Master killed, she said softly. Rose, I said, go down and find Mr. Sutter. Tell him to come to the house at once. Rose put the child down, handed him a piece of bread, and went out, glancing about the yard nervously, starting at the chickens. Walter sat near my feet, chewing his bread from one hand and picking at the dry mud between my toes with the other hand. Stop that, I said, pulling my feet in under the chair. Mr. Sutter was dead too. They had stopped at his house first, sneaked in a window and cut his throat. When Rose got there, she found the door wide open and Cato, the driver, standing on the porch. Don't go in there, he told her. Just tell Mr. Sutter been murdered in his bed. Send a boy for the doctor, I told her on hearing this news. And she headed back to the corner. Delphine was filling the tub with warm water. Best I cut that dress off on you with these scissors, she said. Just get it off, I said wearily. I don't care how you do it. She had unknotted the skirt and was cutting it up in the front when we heard heavy footsteps coming rapidly through the house. Lock the door, I said, but before Delphine could get off her knees, a deep male voice called out, Hello? Is anyone here? Blessed Providence, I thought. There are still white men alive. In here, I called out, in the kitchen. One by one, they filed into the yard. There were 4 of them, dressed in vaguely military coats, high boots, armed with swords and pistols. Where were they when I needed them? Their eyes grew wide as they discovered me, sitting in my kitchen, covered in mud, my face swollen and bleeding, my useless arm cradled in my lap. I recognized one, an acquaintance of my husband, a lawyer named O'Malley. Mrs. Gaudette, he said solemnly, it is my unhappy duty to inform you that your husband has been murdered. I hardly knew whether to laugh or cry. It was as if I had been in a foreign country, a land where madness was the rule, and returned to find nothing changed but my own understanding. I glanced at Delphine. She looked dismayed, though her features were composed in an approximation of civility. She's worried about what would happen to her now, I thought. We all are. Every minute of every hour. Mr. O'Malley stood waiting for my response. He was worried I might have gone mad, and he would have to deal with it. I know it, I said calmly, to his obvious relief. I was there. It was hours before I spun together the threads of the various stories and produced a credible fabric. I hardly cared, but it was a kind of sewing, and I used it as usual to keep my mind off my own suffering, which was intense. First, there was the pain occasioned by Delphine picking the bits of cloth from the wound in my shoulder and cleaning it with alcohol. Then, when Dr. Landry finally arrived, he admired her nursing skills and my endurance. Then he set about determining the outermost limits of the latter. The shots of brandy I downed at the start had worn off by the time he dug out 3 lead balls and announced there were only 2 to go. I can't stand one more second, I cried. Don't you have something stronger than brandy? He poured another glass. I've seen soldiers who could not hold up as well as you, he said, a compliment for which I felt the greatest indifference. After what seemed an hour, he held up another ball in his tweezers and dropped it into the waste basin with a sigh. I'm going to have to leave the last one in, I'm afraid, he said. It's buried too deep in the muscle. I raised my good hand to wipe the perspiration from my forehead. That's the best news I've heard in days, I said. Then he gave me the worst, which was that I would never recover the use of my arm. One of the balls had chipped a bone and severed a tendon at the top of my shoulder. You'll be able to use your hand all right. Eventually, you may be able to raise the arm a little. While I reeled from this diagnosis, he took out his needle and thread and went to work on my face. O'Malley and his men busied themselves putting the house to rights. They picked up my husband's body and moved it to the ice house. Mr. Sutter was brought there too, wrapped in a blanket so none of the hands could see him, as it is well known that the sight of a dead overseer agitates the Negroes. 2 of the patrol stayed downstairs all night, prowling about ceaselessly, though there was no danger of the insurrections returning. After wrecking the house and taking off everything from flatware to footstools, as if they intended to set up a plantation of their own down the way, they had marched to the river road in time to run right into the patrol. The chase was violent and protracted, much of it in the bottomland where mud and the darkness complicated the outcome. One of the patrol was shot in the leg, another one was stabbed in the eye. 4 of the Negroes, including the captain, were shot dead. The other 2 were captured and trussed for hanging. The patrol was passed half the night in pursuit and spent the other half moving the captives downriver, where they were joined by a second patrol coming north, who informed them that a battle was raging in Donaldsonville, and all men was called. It was not until morning that Mr. O'Malley recollected seeing my spoons gleaming in the mud and thought to investigate the Gaudette plantation. When it was all over, they had captured 50 Negroes. Everyone was shot or hanged in the next few days. Casualties among the planters was not heavy. There was a dozen injured and 2 murdered, my husband and his overseer, Mr. Sutton. Ooh, honey. The next morning, my aunt came up from town. She was followed by a mule-driven cart containing 2 coffins sent from Chatterley by my brother-in-law, Charles Gaudette. This gentleman arrived with his son Edmund in the afternoon. I refused to see anyone as I was too sick to leave my bed. So all the arrangements fell to my aunt, which suited everyone. She sent me her own maid, a capable nurse, who administered different medicines and fed me soup, tea, and custard. Though it hurt to eat, I was ravenous. All day I listened to the front door opening and closing, the drone of voices, at first subdued, but as the rooms filled and my aunt served a buffet dinner with quantities of wine, gradually more lively, occasionally punctuated by laughter. My aunt looked in on me every hour to describe the progress of the funeral. All the planters for miles along the river attended, for even those who had disliked my husband or scarcely made his acquaintance understood the importance of standing at his graveside. In the afternoon, they walked out to the cemetery for a brief ceremony, then came back to the house for more food and wine. I heard it all through a curtain of pain. Toward dark, toward dark, they began to drift away, and so did I, into a feverish sleep. When I woke, it was morning, and my aunt was sitting next to my bed with an envelope in her lap. "How you feeling, my dear?" she said. There was an agreeable moment of clarity in which I knew that my husband was dead and buried, followed by a blast of pain so powerful it chased out every fact save itself. "Never worse," I said. "What can I give you?" She gestured to the table of medicines. "Just a little water." She poured a glass and brought it to my lips. "Is the letter for me?" I asked when I had swallowed a few sips. "It is from George Bolden. He particularly asked me to bring it to you." "Let me see it," I said. My aunt proffered the envelope, and I made an awkward business of opening it in my lap. I shook out the page and read, "My dearest Manning, the enormity of your misfortune is so staggering I hardly know what words to write. First, your dear mother, and now this horrible misfortune and loss. If I can be of any help to you in days to come, please call upon me. If not, I hope it will be some small comfort to you to receive the sympathy and affection of your devoted friend, Joel." I think her and Joel had something going on years before she had met the master. I don't know. I'm just like, oh, let's finish this book, honey. Yes, I'm so glad Sarah got away. Did Sarah leave Walter because he was there and she could only get away with the new baby, the little baby? Maybe she's going to come back and get it. "This is so kind," I said. Then the stabbing pain in my face reminded me of my injuries. I laid my palm against the bandage on my cheek. "What will I look like when my face is healed?" "Dr. Landry is an excellent surgeon," my aunt assured me. "He put 27 stitches in my Inez's forehead, and there is barely a scar." "But my mouth," I said, probing the spiky threads that ran from inside my lip to the base of my chin. My aunt made no reply. Perhaps she thought me frivolous, though I doubt any woman can entertain the possibility of disfigurement with equanimity. I folded the letter and slipped it back into its envelope. I had to use my left hand to move my right hand into a useful position. What would look worse, I wondered, my face or my arm hanging limp at my side? "Manning," my aunt said, "where is Sarah?" "She hasn't come back. No one has seen her." "Delphine must know." "No." I looked at my hand. There were 3 bruised marks just behind my thumb. "She bit me," I said. "Merciful heaven," my aunt said. "She took my husband's horse and rode off. I begged her to let me get away, but she wouldn't." "Then she has run away," my aunt concluded. "But where?" I exclaimed. "She can't have gotten far. She's probably hiding in town. It would surprise me if Mr. Rogan didn't know something of her whereabouts. I should write to your uncle to make inquiries at once." My husband is dead, I thought. Why would she run now when she was safe from him? It didn't make sense. "She has her baby with her," I said. "That would make it all the easier to find her." I could see her face again, her lips drawn back over her teeth, her eyes crazed and glowing in the torchlight as she pointed out my husband to his murderers and stood by until the blade had descended upon his neck. "Yes," I agreed. "We'll find her." I sent for Delphine to quiz her about Sarah and to find out what she knew about that night. She said she had gone into the yard after supper to throw out the dishwater, and when she came back, she saw 3 of the runaways standing in the kitchen. So they were already in the house when I was speaking to my husband in his office. Delphine slipped out of the yard and crept along the back of the house to my window, where she threw pebbles until Sarah looked out. I told her what I seen, Delphine said, and she said for me to wait until she passed me her nail. So I hid by the wall. Then she wrapped up the child and passed her down to me. Oh, that's when she dropped the baby down. But I looked out then. I said, I didn't see anyone. I seen you, Mrs. Delphine said, but I was afraid to speak, and I figured Sarah told you. So I stayed still till she passed nail down to me. Then I run around the other side of the house, and that's when the shots rang out. I hid in the bush till you was all running out on the lawn. And you gave the baby back to Sarah? Yes, Mrs. She called to me. Then I run back to the kitchen and lock myself in with Rose till you come. Where do you think Sarah might have gone? I asked, though I didn't expect an honest answer. Delphine hung her head. I don't have no notion, Mrs. She said. No matter, I said confidently. She won't get far. If she ain't returned within the week, I should take out a notice in the journals, and that will bring the slave catchers like flies to sugar. Delphine made no response. I considered the last information as good as delivered to Sarah's ear. Send Rose to me, I said. She'll have to serve upstairs until Sarah is returned. Oh, y'all. Let's see how much more we got for this chapter right here. We might have to pick it up tomorrow night because she finna get to looking for Rose. For Sarah. Yeah. She finna. Oh, man. Yeah, do we want to go on a little bit longer? Yeah, we got like 1, 2. Yeah, that's like 10 pages. We'll wait till tomorrow starts. But thank y'all so much. Yes, Sarah done got away. She looking for Sarah. Yeah, we'll see tomorrow night when we finish this. And then it won't be long after that. Right after that, right there, we'll be on the next chapter, chapter 11. Well, part 4. It'll be part 4. And yeah. I say maybe 4 days. At the most. And today is what? Saturday. By the end of next week, we'll be done with that book. Thank y'all so much. Thank you for being interested in your ancestors. Thank you for your time, your patience, your presence, for just being here. Even if it was just 2 minutes. 2 minutes or 20 minutes, it don't matter. It don't matter. Gratitude to you. I thank you. I love you, my people, to life. We doing this. We learning. We learning about us so we can heal us. We can find out what we need to do. And this is it. We got to heal from all this trauma. I thank you so much. Let's process this tonight. You already know we process everything. Every night we have these readings, we process it. Even more than our daytime readings. Because the daytime reading, I do, ramble a bit about it and stuff. But especially at nighttime, we need to process all this right here because it's heavy. It's heavy. This book ain't as heavy as some of the others that we've read and stuff. But it's a lot to have on us, in our hearts and stuff. And, we be thinking out in our day-to-day life and stuff, and shit happens, you run across people and stuff, and this is the last thing we need to have, this savage and ravishness, still unresolved in us, because it happened. It's our history, it's our truth. We got to live in it now, make sure it never happens again, and I love y'all, and peace and power to the people. Thank you for coming through, Granddaughters. It was so good seeing you again. And all of y'all, I thank y'all. And go take care of yourself. Listen to you some music. Meditate. Yeah. And let's process this. Peace and power to the people.